So it turns out there may have been a leak regarding the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize. If you remember, Trump was angling to try to get the Peace Prize because of the work he had done to bring a resolution to the conflict in Gaza. And a lady from Venezuela won it. She's the opposition leader. She's been working for 20 years to try to fight against the oppressive regimes there. And so, not that she's not deserving, but she won it, and somebody found out about it, or somebody knew about it before the announcement, placed a big old bet on a website called Polymarket, and the odds of her winning went from 2 to 4% up to 70%. And they took their payday, it looks like. And so it raises questions about, who was it? What were their motivations? And Politico has a different take on some things, and I want to talk about that in a minute. But first, watch this video explaining how the odds went up so drastically right before the announcement. It's a South Korean news agency. It's the one that I found that had the best breakdown of it.
Claims that the identity of the Nobel Peace Prize winner, Machado, has been revealed prior to the official announcement. Just before the official announcement, there was a truly unusual surge in betting activity on Machado on a US-based betting site. The Nobel Committee has even suggested that this could be the result of espionage.
Here's the prediction chart for the Nobel Peace Prize winner from the US online betting site Polymarket. Just 12 hours before the official announcement, Yulia Navalnaya, the wife of the late activist Alexei Navalny, who opposed Russian President Putin, was a strong contender with a 9.5% chance. Only about 2.1% of bets were initially placed on this year's winner, Maria Corina Machado. But just 9 hours before the announcement, a surge of bets on Machado caused the odds to skyrocket to 72%. There are suspicions that the government leaked the information in advance, as the winner was already decided on the 6th. According to Polymarket data, one user bet about 100 million won on Machado just hours before the winner was announced, making a profit of 43 million won. It was revealed that they had opened a Polymarket account but didn't participate in other bets. Additionally, several suspicious participants were detected. The Nobel Committee, which has launched an investigation, suggested that an external spy might have leaked the information. While they cannot confirm this with complete certainty, the Nobel Institute acknowledges that it is a widely recognized reality that espionage activities have consistently targeted them. They also added that it is too early to conclude that the winner's information was leaked and that the results of the investigation should be awaited. This is Lee Sang-hyup reporting for MBN News.
So, that's really interesting. Politico is saying that whether or not it was leaked, that websites like Kalshi and what's this one called, Polymarket, they could be a replacement essentially for pollsters, because people have a financial incentive to answer correctly or honestly, I guess. Not answer, but like place their bets. If they're betting on something, they're gonna bet with their head and not their heart. And so it kind of makes sense that, if you are in a social situation and a pollster comes up to you and says, who are you going to vote for? And everyone around you leans one direction, you might say that you do too, even if that's not really the truth. I don't know, though, because my question is, how bad have the polls been and how long have they been so bad? Because during the Trump runs at president, they were pretty bad. They undercounted Trump voters by a large amount in a lot of places. And there's questions there too, as to whether or not that was intentional, whether or not that was an attempt to suppress the vote in those regions. Because if you felt like he was going to lose by a huge margin, you're not, maybe you won't go out and vote for him if that was your intent. But the the question I have is, are polls relevant anymore? Because when I get a phone call or a text message asking if I'm going to vote one way or another, I don't respond. I don't even, if I accidentally pick up the phone, I'm not going to talk to these people, whoever they're asking about. I'm not interested. And I know a lot of people feel the same way. So how accurate are polls? They're not very accurate, I don't think. And so it is an interesting point that they're making here when they say that people are, likely to bet with their head and not with their heart. They're not thinking about, who they want to win. They're thinking about who they think will win. And if they're not, there, I guess there could be a bias in a sense that, like, people who want a certain candidate to win, but they don't think that they will win, they won't bet against them. So in that way, maybe it's not as foolproof as it seems on the surface, but it might be a better predictor than what we currently have, is I think what Politico is trying to say here, and they might be right. But my question is that a good thing? Is betting a good thing? And so I looked into, historically, why was betting outlawed in the United States? And it seems to be mostly from a feeling that if you are idle hands are the devil's playground, right? If you are not, if you're if you're not putting in an honest day's work, like if you're not willing to work hard for your earnings, and you're looking to make money quickly, that is likely to have bad outcomes for many people, not just yourself, but your family. And so that can lead to ruin of the family, especially if you become addicted. So I think that these are some of the reasons why betting has always been a little bit taboo in our country. And it is a good question whether or not it should be. Should it stay that way? Well, I guess it's legal now in 38 states. So should it be legal, I guess, is a better question. And in a situation where politics are involved and the politicians have so much ability to sway outcomes for companies and individuals, there's a lot of concern, obviously, that lobbyists for companies will influence how our elected officials vote, right? Well, I think that if this becomes the new way of conducting polls, I just get a sense that it could inject an element of corruption that we don't already have. like if we don't have enough corruption, maybe we can get some more of that. We get some more corruption in there. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm not sure what the right stance would be on this particular thing. I do find it interesting, and I do wonder how flawed are the polls already? And do the politicians already know that? Do they even rely on polls? Because all the polls leading up to the last presidential election seemed to suggest that it was very close. But when I heard JD Vance talk and Trump talk, which, you know, you can believe what you want to believe when politicians speak, but they seemed pretty confident, even in places where they were down. If they were down a couple points or whatever, they were like, "Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so." And there, and I specifically remember JD talking about like, yeah, I wouldn't really answer a poll either if somebody called me out of the blue. I just don't think that that's reliable information. So, what do you think? Is this the new way that they're going to start conducting research on who's going to win and lose an election? Because right or wrong, it might be more accurate than the way we currently run our polls. So, I don't know. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Thanks.